it's going to be a long day.
We still have a few more details to tend to.
So we have several interesting things going on here.
Are you ready?
It is humorous, due to Chihuahuas being of diminutive stature.
And today, we're going to be changing out this sink and this faucet for obvious reasons. Okay, so first, what we want to do is we want to loosen up all of our connections here to the drain.
As well as turning off the angle stops and disconnecting the supply lines. A bucket or container should be used to catch any excess water from the lines.
The old sink is secured with silicone adhesive, so we're just going to shave the silicone away from between the top of the countertop and the sink. Let's try this one. When you are shaving the adhesive away from it, do it closer towards whatever component you're going to be removing. Since we're only doing the sink, we want to preserve the countertop, so we want to cut closer to the sink itself, not the countertop.
However, the existing sink is proving to be more difficult to remove than originally anticipated. Because of this, we are needing to incorporate gradually extreme measures for removal, to such an extent that we will be unable to preserve the countertop. It is unfortunate due to the customer mentioning that they would need to keep costs down on the work being done, and requested that we reuse the countertop at this time.
There. Jeez.
Once we were able to remove the sink from the countertop, we realized that it had not been secured by silicone, as would be the suggested procedure. Instead, thin-set mortar was used, creating more difficulty during this process.
The thin set that was holding the tile in was weaker than the thin set that was holding the sink onto the countertop. Because of that, the tile pieces stayed on the sink. And trying to take those tile pieces off of the sink caused even more damage.
Unfortunately, we had no other choice but to remove the tile countertop. The decision was made to replace it with a laminate countertop, which comes in several colors, patterns, and sizes, and is relatively easy to install.
I still say we should have just used some fancy paint and slapped it on the plywood and let it be. Yeah, I know, but it wouldn't have given us the consistent quality of work that we prefer to give to people.
All measurements for the sink should be checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. Paying close attention to where the sink will be in relation to the side walls of the cabinet, the spaces to the front of the cabinet face, and behind the sink.
We're going to mark the countertop where the sink goes.
There are a few ways that the template markings can be transferred to the material that you are dealing with, depending on the resources available at the moment. We are showing you only one example, which involves drilling holes along the perimeter. The holes will be used as a guide for cutting the opening for the sink. Use masking tape on the material along the cut line to prevent chipping caused by the saw blade. This will give it a cleaner cut.
I'm going to use my multi-tool. I'm going to take the oscillating blade off and put my jigsaw attachment on and go with a fine blade. If I have to widen it out anymore, then I can always come in later.
The new countertop is cut to size and secured in place. Our next step is to confirm that the sink sets into the countertop properly, and make adjustments, if necessary, before preparing the sink for installation.
A bit of a pro tip. Installing the faucet and the pop-up, as well as the supply lines, onto the sink before you install the sink is going to be a whole lot easier to deal with, and it's going to take a whole lot less time than if you were going to try to install the faucet and the pop-up after the sink is in place. And for the love of everything construction, when installing a drop-in sink or a surface-mounted sink, you only need to put a small bead silicone along the bottom rim of the sink itself. That's going to be a sufficient amount to hold that sink into place for the life of that sink or cabinet.
Once the sink is lined up and in place, connect the pop-up assembly to the drain assembly and hook up the supply lines to the angle stops. Ensure that the supply lines are tightened properly before turning the water back on. Turn the angle stops back on and check the supply connections for leaks.
Oh my God! Don't touch that dial. Wait, whoa! What'd I do? A majority of plumbing systems are going to have debris in the water lines. The fact that the angle stops have been turned off, any debris that's been lodged is going to break loose from the sudden pressure change. The tip of that faucet is going to have to be taken off along with its filter before the faucet is turned on. So any of the debris that may have come loose will flow through the system easily, and it'll keep your faucet filter from clogging up. Well, god dang, you made it sound like I was going to catch the house on fire if I turned the water on.
Joseph, although it is scientifically unlikely, I am certain that you would find a way.
Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, voice lady. Yeah. I don't think that's what she meant.
With the filter back in place, turn the faucet on to check for leaks in the drain under the sink, and tighten any connections if needed. Once everything is inspected, apply a bead of silicone within the gap between the sink and the countertop. It will keep any water from traveling from the countertop to the inside of the cabinet, protecting it from water damage.
Well, if you were expecting for us to show you how to put in a countertop, you're not entirely wrong. But we're going to leave that for another Captain Shorts.